You see the poster dunks and think you know, but seeing him move in person, it catches you off guard. He blew past me so fast, I just froze. That sounds like Shaquille O'Neal paying homage to the king, right? But given their rocky history of subliminal shots and battle of egos, the fan base remains skeptical. Is this genuine admiration or another setup? A viral clip has everyone asking, was the Big Diesel actually mesmerized, or was he loading up a verbal cannon? We are talking about the tunnel incident that has the sports world on fire. Before we dive in, make sure to smash that like button and subscribe to the channel for more exclusive NBA breakdowns. Now, the biggest moments in basketball don't always happen on the court. They don't appear in the box score, but they rattle the league's foundation. And the drama that reportedly unfolded at Madison Square Garden on February 1st, 2026 is one of those. Legendary stories we will be dissecting for decades. According to a flood of insider reports exploding across the internet, from YouTube deep dives to verified insider tweets, we have a major situation on our hands. Sources claiming to be on the scene state that Shaquille O'Neal and LeBron James got into a volatile face-to-face showdown right in the tunnel. This allegedly went down moments after the New York Knicks handed the Los Angeles Lakers a 112-100 beating. Here is the play-by-play of what allegedly went down. After the Lakers took that tough loss in the Big Apple, LeBron James was heading to the locker room, a walk he has taken thousands of times in his career. But this night was different. This time, there was a 7-foot roadblock waiting for him. Reports say Shaq was physically obstructing LeBron's path, refusing to let him slide by without a conversation that was a long time coming. So why was Shaq so heated? Why press LeBron in the tunnel instead of just roasting him on national television? It all boils down to comments King James made on his own podcast. LeBron recently claimed that the modern NBA is actually harder than the old school era because of the pace and complex spacing compared to the physicality of the 80s and 90s. To the younger generation, that sounds like a solid take. The game has evolved, the speed is insane, and the three-point revolution has changed the geometry of the court. But to a powerhouse like Shaq, who made his living bullying defenders in an era of heavy contact and headhunting fouls, those words were a direct insult to every legend who paved the way. The conversation reportedly went from 0 to 100 real quick. Shaq allegedly grilled LeBron on his definition of difficulty, asking how he can call this era tough when you get a technical foul just for staring someone down. If you know the big Aristotle, you know he doesn't bite his tongue. When he feels disrespected, he speaks his mind. With the full weight of his personality crashing down on you, it reminds everyone of that classic interview exchange. In your prime, you and Kobe versus LeBron and AD. Who takes it? Do I think, or do I know? The answer is yes, I know, because there is one major problem for them. Who is going to guard me? Exactly. No one can do that. They absolutely cannot. That is a fact. Back in the tunnel, LeBron reportedly stood his ground. He tried to explain the nuance of the game's evolution, arguing that while the physical blows are fewer, the mental and athletic demands are higher than ever before. But Shaq wasn't buying the sales pitch. He pushed back, accusing James of diminishing the struggles of icons like Michael Jordan, Larry Bird, and Magic Johnson. Shaq argued that LeBron benefits from a soft era where rules against hand-checking allow offensive players to run wild stuff that would never fly back in the day. Witnesses described the atmosphere as thick with tension. This wasn't friendly banter for the cameras. This was a genuine clash between two Mount Rushmore candidates. It got so intense that Lakers general manager Rob Pelinka reportedly had to jump in and separate the two giants before things turned physical. Just picture that for a second. The GM of the Lakers had to play referee between Shaq and LeBron to prevent a brawl. That tells you everything you need to know about the heat in that hallway. Now, we have to be transparent here. Don't forget to hit subscribe so you don't miss the update if the footage leaks, because right now, no video has been released to the public. We are piecing this puzzle together from dramatic recreations and hushed whispers from those who were in the building. It was not just words. The vibe shifted instantly into a physical altercation. Just imagine the scene. The general manager of the Los Angeles Lakers having to act as a human shield between Shaq and LeBron to prevent a disaster. That gives you a pretty clear idea of the temperature of that argument. Before we decode what happened next, smash that like button and subscribe to the channel. Now, here is where it gets complicated, and we need to keep it 100% honest. There is zero videotape of this tunnel dust-up released to the fans. Most of what is circulating out there comes from dramatic reenactments or whispers from insiders who claim to have seen it go down. Sources are swearing they saw it go down or know someone who did. Naturally, this has the rumor mill spinning, with skeptics wondering if this is just blown up clickbait to cash in on the drama. It plays right into the league's never-ending GOAT debates. We are hearing Lakers security is working overtime to scrub any video evidence, but the gossip is moving faster than a fast break, fueled by leaked texts and insider whispers. Look, whether that tunnel scrap was a heavyweight bout or just a shouting match, one thing is absolute fact. The beef between Shaq and LeBron is sizzling hot. Before we dive into the why, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button so you do not miss the next update. To get the full picture, you have to track the bombs Shaq has been dropping on James lately. He isn't just offering hot takes, he is systematically dismantling LeBron's claim to the throne for the whole world to see. Shaq has completely erased James from his all-time starting five, locking in a squad featuring Stephen Curry running point, the Mamba, Kobe Bryant at the 2, MJ at the 3, the big fundamental Tim, Duncan at the 4, and Shaq himself in the paint. That is a calculated snub of a guy holding 4 rings, 4 finals MVPs, 4 regular season MVPs, and the all-time scoring title. Why the disrespect? It boils down to what Shaq calls the fear factor. The Big Diesel claims opponents were petrified of Michael Jordan in a way they just aren't scared of King James. He said, MJ is the only guy who terrified me on the hardwood. I went from idolizing him in high school and college to staring him down face to face. That is Shaq keeping it 100% real about the intimidation factor of battling his airness. When a guy that size admits to trembling in his size 22s regarding the psychological warfare Jordan possessed, he is drawing a line in the sand about where LeBron is lacking. He is saying the poster on your wall is nothing compared to the real deal. He said, Mike moves so fast, sometimes I was just left stunned. You rarely hear legends admit to fear like that. If you appreciate that kind of raw honesty, drop a like on this video. That admission explains exactly why Shaq thinks the modern era LeBron's era is soft compared to the old days. But the tunnel fight and the top 5 snub, that is just the appetizer. The real main course involves a brutal moment that might have shattered the truce forever. We need to talk about the disaster that was the 2026 All-Star selection. This added a layer of humiliation to the rivalry that cut right to the bone of LeBron's legacy. Nobody saw this coming a few seasons back. Here is the breakdown. When the fan voting wrapped up in mid-January 2026, the results were shocking. For the first time in 21 years, LeBron James was not voted a starter in the West, trailing behind Nikola Jokic, Anthony Davis, and Zion Williamson. The King, who had locked down a starting spot every single season from 2005 to 2025, a 20-year streak, was suddenly deemed second tier by the very fans who used to worship him. Now, the coaches did save face by picking him as a reserve, showing that the league insiders still respect what the 41-year-old brings to the floor. But let's be honest, reserve has a specific sting to it. It means you aren't hearing your name called first. It means you are sitting on the pine for the opening tip. For an ego the size of LeBron's, that is a visible demotion from the pedestal he has occupied for 2 decades. Enter Shaq, who decided to pour salt in the wound. On the January 29th, 2026 edition of Inside the NBA, things got spicy. The legendary crew Shaq, Chuck, Ernie, and Kenny were debating the roster and the league's habit of rewarding past glory over current stats. But when the topic shifted to LeBron coming off the bench, Shaq dropped a quote that rattled the entire industry. He bluntly stated he did not want to see the King as a backup player. He claimed he wanted to save LeBron from that embarrassment. He spun it as an act of mercy, implying that watching James sit as a sub would hurt his image more than just retiring or sitting out. He basically said, "Thank you for your service, King, but I cannot watch you come off the bench." It was framed as respect, but it felt like a retirement push. When Kenny Smith tried to argue, the Big Diesel isn't backing down. In fact, he is cranking up the pressure. He went straight for the jugular, claiming that King James is no longer performing at an all-star level and that forcing him to ride the pine would only spotlight his fading skills rather than honor his legendary run. In O'Neal's eyes, cutting LeBron from the roster entirely is actually the more dignified move. This is where the basketball world gets torn in two. One side of the aisle is convinced that Shaq's hot take comes from a place of love, believing he is trying to shield a fellow icon from the embarrassment of accepting a downgrade that stains his historic resume. However, the other side of the fan base listened to those same remarks and heard nothing but shade, a calculated jab at LeBron's slide from dominance. They see Shaq appointing himself the judge and jury of greatness, essentially declaring that James has been evicted from the penthouse of the NBA's elite. The internet exploded instantly, with timelines flooded by debates over the absurdity of LeBron James potentially being a reserve player for the first time ever. While some viewers agreed that Bron should take a seat, others went to war for his legacy, arguing that an all-star weekend without the king is a hollow product, no matter what the box score says. Rumors are even swirling that James might skip the festivities altogether to recharge, opening the door for a name like Austin Reeves to step in. If that scenario plays out, you have to ask yourself if Shaq's harsh truth bomb forced that hand. But folks, before we go deeper, smash that like button if you love NBA drama. Now, what makes Shaq's commentary sting so much is the bigger picture he is painting. The big man isn't just critiquing a single, he's attacking the validity of this entire era. O'Neal claims today's league is marshmallow soft, compared to the battlefield he dominated, arguing that rules protecting offensive players have artificially inflated the success of guys like LeBron. And listen, he is not the only legend singing this tune. Icons like Paul Pierce are nodding in agreement, calling the modern game watered down and laughing off LeBron's longevity arguments because of the lack of physicality. When you have multiple Hall of Famers pushing this narrative, it casts a shadow that is tough for even the chosen one to escape. What is truly wild about this beef is that Shaq and LeBron share a history that is way more personal than most fans remember. These aren't just two rivals shouting across the media landscape. They actually wore the same jersey in Cleveland during the 2009 and 2010 season. The Cavs brought the diesel in from the Phoenix Suns specifically to help a prime LeBron chase his first ring. And believe it or not, that partnership kicked off with major hype and genuine brotherhood. James publicly called it a massive honor to run alongside a four-time champion, while O'Neal couldn't stop raving about the young king's ability to lead. It feels like a lifetime ago, but back then, they were envisioning dominating all-star weekends, together based purely on their elite status. If you look at the footage from the 2009 All-Star break, LeBron was speaking about the talent level with pure reverence. And when the topic switched to Shaq, specifically, there was nothing but love for the big man. He talked about how the sport would definitely feel the loss whenever Shaq decided to hang up his massive sneakers for good. That was James recognizing just how critical O'Neal was to the culture of basketball. He didn't stop there, going on to praise the entertainment value, the charisma, and the laughter Shaq brought to the hardwood. He admitted that the game rarely appreciates players like that while they are still here. That level of sincere admiration makes the current friction between these two titans hit different. These are guys who shared secrets in the locker room, defended each other on the floor, and spoke with absolute respect. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel as we track this evolving storyline, because somewhere along the line, that brotherhood turned complicated. That Cavaliers super team stormed through the regular season, finishing 61-21 with LeBron securing back-to-back MVP trophies. But the campaign ended in heartbreak when they crashed out against the Boston Celtics in the Eastern Conference semifinals. Shaq battled through all 11 playoff games, but was slowed by age and injury, putting up just over 11 points and 5 boards. LeBron played like a monster, but couldn't drag the squad past Boston's veteran Big Three. That failure triggered the biggest free agency move ever, the decision, where LeBron left Cleveland in the dust to join the experiment in South Beach involving Shaq and LeBron fizzled out before it ever really had a chance to ignite. It's a clash of titans, a war between eras. If you've been tracking the Big Diesel's moves in the media, you already know he loves a microphone and a grudge. This isn't his first rodeo. Before he locked horns with King James, he went to war with the Black Mamba. That legendary, volcanic, decade-long battle of massive egos between the two most gifted Lakers ever gives us the cheat sheet for decoding Shaq's psyche when he targets another icon. The Shaq-Kobe saga is the gold standard for NBA drama. It was a ticking time bomb of alpha energy and raw skill that somehow powered a three-peat from the year 2000 to 2002 before blowing the dynasty to smithereens. If you want to crack the code on the current Shaq and LeBron friction, you have to look at the wreckage of the Kobe relationship. The bad blood started the second they shared a locker room. Shaq touched down in LA as the established monster in 1996, the same year Kobe arrived as a high school prodigy. The hierarchy was messy from day one. The big fella saw a sidekick, while the kid wanted the throne. By 98, we had accusations of selfishness, jealousy, and actual fists flying during a pickup run in the lockout. The well wasn't just poisoned, it was toxic. Shaq admitted, "He's the only guy that actually scared me on the hardwood. I went from idolizing him in high school and college to seeing him fly right past me in the pros. It's like seeing a poster come to life. He blew by me so fast, I was just stunned." But let's be clear, that reverence Shaq held for Jordan, it didn't exist for his own teammates. With Kobe, fear wasn't in the equation. It was pure, unadulterated ego. It was a dogfight over whose team it was and whose name appeared first in the history books. Before we go deeper, make sure you smash that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into NBA history. Here is the twist that matters for the LeBron narrative. After years of throwing shade, the hatchet got buried. In 2015, Kobe went on Shaq's pod and admitted he was an immature kid back then. Shaq agreed they were just caught in the heat of battle. They defined it as athletic dislike, distinct from genuine hatred. And then came the date that stopped the world, January 26th, 2020. When the helicopter crash took Kobe, Shaq was visibly broken. His tribute on TNT was gut-wrenching, crying for his brother in front of millions. Since then, he has been open about the regret of not picking up the phone more often. Fast forward to February 8th, 2024. At the statue unveiling, the Big Diesel called Bryant the greatest teammate he ever had. Think about that arc from Locker Room Brawls. Two tearful tributes. It proves even the nastiest feuds can turn into brotherhood if you give it time. So, what is the verdict on the King versus the Diesel? We are likely watching the same movie play out. This is just another chapter in Shaq's playbook of challenging the game's elites. The tunnel confrontations, the snubbing from all-time lists, it is classic Shaq behavior. He challenges the guys he respects the most. It is just how his wiring works. But peel back the layers, and it gets deeper. One analyst dropped a truth bomb that really puts the big fella's insecurity into focus. Because let's be real, this might not be about eras or toughness. It's about Shaq looking in the mirror. Shannon Sharpe asked the tough question: what is really behind these comments? He noted that Shaq had a moment of clarity. Shaq knows deep down he should be in the conversation for the undisputed #1 spot. Not just top 5, but the time's greatest. That reality stings. Because the argument exists that Shaq squandered the chance to be the absolute GOAT. We aren't talking just most dominant, we mean the best ever. Period. We will never see a human being that size move like a ballerina again. Yet, he didn't reach that ultimate ceiling. The GOAT debate revolves around Jordan and LeBron, leaving Shaq on the outside looking in. And the reason for that exclusion boils down to, here is the undeniable truth. Shaq simply didn't respect the offseason. He slacked on the training, ignored the nutrition, and consistently showed up to camp out of shape, expecting to flip a switch. But if he had adopted the killer discipline of LeBron or the obsessive drive of Kobe and Jordan, there would be no argument. The GOAT debate would be closed. Even Shaq has essentially admitted this harsh reality. But before we break down why this rivalry cuts so deep, do me a favor. Hit that like button and subscribe if you want more unfiltered NBA truth. When you look at Shaq's criticism of LeBron, it adds a fascinating layer of psychology. Every snub from his all-time list, every subtle dig at the King, it all circles back to that one regret. If he had locked in like LeBron, Kobe, or MJ, ain't no way in hell we are even having a discussion. The genius of LeBron James, the factor that elevates him above almost every athlete in history, is possessing exactly what Shaq lacked. It is the unwavering discipline, the commitment to longevity, the wisdom to know that being a genetic freak isn't enough. You have to maintain that engine year after grueling year. The brilliance of LeBron is that he cracked the code early. Longevity is 100% about fuel and fitness. He built a team led by Mike Mancias to bulletproof his body. If you appreciate that kind of grind, make sure to subscribe to the channel right now. LeBron realized that if he treated his body like $1 billion investment and kept the right circle, he could dominate the highest level for decades. And he has executed that plan to perfection. His team gave him the roadmap from day one. Choose the hard path, and you last forever. And this is where the narrative gets tragic for the Big Diesel. Imagine how Shaq feels watching LeBron do what he never could. Shaq never saw the end coming. He thought he could just play his way into shape every season. He could force his body ready through sheer will and talent, but you cannot cheat the grind forever. He couldn't sustain the excellence like LeBron. You have to believe Shaq lies awake at night wondering what could have been. The what-ifs are the real story here. That regret is the master key to understanding the tension between these two. It is not just about different eras. It is not just bully ball versus pace and space. It is about a man who knows he had the talent to be the undisputed GOAT, but didn't do the homework. He is watching a rival who, with perhaps fewer natural gifts, maximized every single ounce of his potential. Breaking news: as of February 13th, 2026, LeBron has remained silent on Shaq's latest jabs. He is laser focused on the Lakers' playoff push, downplaying the All-Star snub and preaching team success. Is this genuine, unbothered energy, or a calculated move to let his game speak? We will find out soon. Thanks for tuning in to this breakdown. If you enjoyed this video, click one of the boxes on your screen to keep the basketball conversation going. See you in the next one.